to the next available agent.
Go ahead.
We have a new guy from Australia today in show. Hello, what's your name?
My name's Tyler. You ever wake up and all the things in your living room are gone? You ever been face to face with a kangaroo?
It will be a difficult episode for us not to laugh because he just got an impersonation.
Oh, someone sent in an Australian question. We're not going to answer his question today, but it just...
This is just a trailer.
I don't know what it is about hearing...
Trailer from Taylor.
About hearing accents. First of all, by suggestion of Dr. Kropus, dude, I would like to introduce myself. I am Taylor Averill. This is Andre Rona.
Yes, that's me.
Deep in the back is Jakub Kowalczyk.
Wow.
And we are the Volley Hotline.
Yes, episode 6.
Episode 6. Episode 6. But I will say I do find accents so much fun. They're so much fun to do. And it sucks that now we live in a world where you can get canceled for saying the wrong thing. And I guess I get it. And also at the same time, every time I hear a British accent, an Australian accent, it's just like I'm a baby and I need to repeat what mommy's said to me.
But which one is the most funny for you of the accents?
Australian.
Australian is the most
I don't know if I'd say most funny, but every single time I hear it, I think it's the coolest sounding language. I mean, it's English, but like the way it's pronounced, it's the coolest to me. And I just cannot help myself. Every time I hear it, I need to speak.
But what about other nations speaking English? Like not, English speaking nations. Just, I don't know, Russian or like Eastern European or French, English.
I mean, they all have their own like little quirks.
You had maybe many Italian coaches, so Italian coaches speaking English are also funny.
I mean, I'll say that like as someone who eventually learned and became like mildly fluent in Italian by my 3rd year there, I love that they speak so passionately. Like I really love that, and it's such a beautiful language. Like the ciao bella, it's just like it's so beautiful.
The melody is nice.
The melody is nice, and the way they structure like what they're saying, they always speak in like I don't want to say parables, but like it's always like some beautiful instead of just being like I love you. It's like you are like the sun melting on my hot naked body, or like I don't know, like it's always something obscurely amazing. I don't know.
And do you feel like this direct translation is funny for you? Like we speak Polish and we sometimes translate word by word. Totally the same, and we feel like it's the same in English.
We talked about this, I think. Yeah, I remember.
No, we said about like Polish names for the volleyball.
No, I didn't mean on the podcast. I think we talked off the podcast about this idea of like, for example, when I was learning Italian, I kept trying to take the way I would say something in English and directly translate that into Italian, and it didn't make sense. And what was really helpful, which I wish I would have known before I went to Italy, like a good piece of advice, in my opinion, for trying to learn a language is stop thinking in terms of how you think right now in your own language and start to think like an Italian. And you do that by just immersing yourself into the culture and realizing and like listening to how people react to things. And if I say like "ma che cazzo fai" or like something, it's like
what the need that how you drive.
You don't even need to know, you don't even need to know the direct translation to know exactly how to use it just by hearing it, And I think that was really helpful in me starting to figure that out. And then actually I learned Italian from Matteo Piano, bless his soul. He was like my best friend out in Milan. By how he spoke to me in English, I was like, oh, you don't say like the red car, you say like the car is red, or the car of red, like, and that's not what he said specifically.
Yeah.
But like that's how I started to figure out, oh, that's how you structure things in your mind.
Carta rossa.
Yeah, exactly. Cara rossa, la macchina rossa, de rossa.
But what's so funny? That when we speak English in locker room, this European English between not native English speakers, we understand each other totally. We joke around and having fun, and you never understand us. Like we speak English, your language,
damn it,
and you never understand us.
I feel like you're so sensitive to me how I understand our English conversation.
Because I'm trying so hard, man.
No, the difference, and I appreciate that, and it's also for those of you like listening, it's actually blows my mind how well, we do this podcast in English, and English is not your first language. Like, it's even hard for me to possibly comprehend because I couldn't imagine doing like,
We can speak in Italian.
yeah, even that I would be like
Even now.
shitting myself. You know, I couldn't imagine it.
But are you trying to speak like easier to us when you are in the locker room, or you just speak whatever you want, and after you can see that we don't understand, so you change the words which you are trying to speak to us, or you're speaking like...
It's by habit that I change it a little bit. But for example, like on this podcast, this is as close as it gets to me just freely. I think I'm less creative with making up words than I would be if I was like back in California with like my brother and just some friends. Like they're constantly like making shit up. Like we're just constantly making up fun words that don't mean anything, but you know, because of the context or not. Where like here, I wouldn't do that because I'm trying so hard just to be understood.
You're not using slang? Yeah.
Slang, yeah. Well,
Gangsta
damn.
shit.
Damn!
Yeah, I mean, not really. I think with you guys, I try to implement more of it, and I try to feel as natural as possible because God damn it, you deserve it, dude. Both of you deserve like true English speaking.
Yeah, most of all, you are speaking to the people there, not to us. Like
That's true, but I'll be honest, people there, I'm so happy you're
You
there.
people.
First of all, you people out there. But you know, authentically, like also, I am just speaking to you guys. You know, which is why this works so well, I think.
But it's also funny because there are some nations in Europe also. I think Scandinavian people are speaking English in really good way. Like you cannot say, mostly you cannot say that they are from, I don't know, Sweden or Finland. I think there are countries from which people speak much better English in Europe than the others, and it's difficult to notice like the accent.
That's really interesting. I haven't picked up on that. I haven't really spent a ton of time.
Yeah, you never had
With
like
Finnish
any
or
Finnish or
Swedish.
Swedish people. In
I
the
have
team.
actually had in fact, one of my Swedish teammates married an American girl not super long ago. But that's the only Swedish. Oh no, I had a Swedish guy in con too, and he looked like a Viking. So I don't know. He looked actually like you if you were blonde. Smaller.
No, but if you put me like next to Finnish guys, then I don't look like a Viking. They look like a Viking.
Let me ask you, what is the like? First of all, we talked about this before. I would love to know. Can you give me both like your best American English impression? Do you have anything or maybe not? You know, I would love to see, because like, dude, it's so funny that for me, I don't feel like I have. Of course, this is most people who are native to wherever they come from. But the point is, I don't recognize my own California accent until I come overseas, and then some guy's like, "Okay, dude," or like something over the top, and I'm like, "Damn, I sound like that." Dude.
Yeah. My wife says that I speak English I'm a chameleon. I speak English in the way that people speak to me. Like if I have conversation with you, I try to speak like more fluent and use like better words and accent, like to try to sound more like American. Of course,
Right.
I don't sound like one, but I try to, you know. But when I speak with, I don't know, people speaking English with the Eastern accent, I speak more like my R is more hard than. When I speak with Italian, I try to speak English more Italian way, you know, because it's like when I was speaking with our coach who was Italian, I was speaking like this to him, and it was easier for me because the same like you sing like if you sing in a duet with somebody, you try to get the same sounds with this person, so you try to like.
Dude, this is so beautiful because every time I come home, and all American professional players know this when they go home, there's like a month transition period where you go from like speaking in kind of like your broken English with an accent to like kind of normal English. My brother and friends make fun of me so hard when I come home. Also, for example, if we go to get a massage and the person there is from Thailand and they have some sort of accent, I don't speak to them like how I would speak to my brother. I speak to them, I don't want to say with an accent. Don't cancel me. I'm doing my best. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't speak with like, I speak in a way that I feel like she or he will understand best. And so if like...
So it's Thai English, like...
Yeah, it's Thai English. You know what I mean?
But it's perfect for you because you don't need to say it again and again and again.
And that's the part that people who have never spent English people who have never spent a lot of time overseas don't understand. Where they're like, why are you talking to that like
Like they are retarded.
Indian mailman like in that way, or why are you talking to that like Mexican guy in that way? And it's just like, it's because I've spent enough time overseas to know if you can speak English with, like, for example, how they would speak it with each other if they spoke English to each other. Chameleon, to your point, if you can kind of chameleon to the situation, you get understood clear. And the ultimate point of communication is to communicate. And so I've been told, but when I first came to Italy and I didn't change anything about the way I spoke, constantly guys would be, what?
Yeah.
Huh? Or I could tell they didn't understand. They're like, oh yeah. But I was like, you didn't fucking hear me at all, did you? You know? And finally I was like, okay, let's slow it down. And then eventually it was like, I kind of say it in a way that I know they're going to understand it really well, which if they're Italian, it's like a little Italian accent. If they're French, it's a little cheesy. And
yeah, but my wife was laughing at me so hard. Like, why are you, like, you can speak good English. Why are you trying to pretend that you have different accent than you have when you normally speak? Like, she was in LA for like half year studying to be an actress there, so she speaks much better English than me, and so she's laughing at me like many times. When we speak.
I remember we had a middle blocker from Canada, Graham Weigras. He was playing here 5 years ago, maybe, and his wife was making dinners like often, and they invited all the Polish guys, and every time she was sitting on the table and talking to us like to a little kiss, like, okay, so now we have a time.
Do you like your food? It's
food.
nice. It's okay.
And it made us. It was funny at the beginning, but after that, I felt like a stupid Polish guy, retarded. That I
so
cannot
you
speak
didn't.
normally.
She didn't feel like you earned the right to hear like her true
It
English
was bad.
accent. That's amazing.
I felt ashamed after.
That's amazing.
But the food was really good. The food was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did she make you? Like pancakes, lots of maple syrup?
Everything, man, and a lot of beer.
Everything with maple syrup.
Oh.
Yeah.
Canadian stuff. Actually, Graham was here. I was thinking because today is Tuesday, and tomorrow we play the first final from 5 years in this club. Because tomorrow is Wednesday. Our podcast is going out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So last time we played in 2019 in the final with this team, and it has been like 5 years ago. So tomorrow is the first final for this team since 5 years.
Patience is a virtue, guys.
That's true.
And you played a lot of finals for these 5 years, like in Italy, in France. In France, you played in France.
That's
true. 2
true.
finals in a row, yeah.
That's true. I played in both years. I played in France. I played in the finals. I actually got injured in the semifinals, the match that we won to go to the finals, and didn't get to play in the finals that we won.
Play.
No, it's a very sore subject for me.
Okay.
But we did win. And in fact, that's the only time in France, or the only seasons that I've got to play where like we did so well, because most of the other teams were like, you're on an average team. I mean, Olsztyn, it was like, you made the playoffs. Great. In Italy, it was like, you made the playoffs. Great.
You were so close to the semis in Olsztyn, yeah?
Yeah.
First year.
Yeah. Both years.
Both years. Second year also, yeah.
Skra, the first year.
5 games of quarterfinal.
Yeah. Zavirche, we didn't have Josh, Tuniga, our setter, and Janka had Janka, and we did great. We did so good. We were so close.
Okay, before we go to the volleyball, I wanted to ask you one question, because we just came back from Finland, not just, but a few days, 1 week ago. We were in Finland, and I've noticed one huge difference in the culture of the people there and let's say here, for example. And I noticed the same, maybe Kropas will know what I'm speaking.
Oh, they all look like they're in a heavy metal band?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But I've noticed the same in Japan, and you were also in Tokyo, you said, like last summer. So maybe you have the same like thoughts about it. That people there, like when we were at the airport, it was like really calm and almost like silent on the airport. Like people there are in the public spaces are so like respecting the other people around them, because I think when you are here in the traveling in the underground, or you are in the railway station or at the airport, people they don't give a fuck. Like they speak loud through their mobile phones.
Yeah.
They shout, they laugh, they don't care. And I think in Finland we were sitting at the airport, and I was like, wow, it's so like calm here. Like you are in a public place with so many people around. And it was the same when I was in Tokyo, when I was like passing through the streets of Tokyo alone, and I was watching, like I was experiencing the culture, because I think when you are traveling alone, I don't know if you ever tried, you start to like see more things around you, because you don't have nobody to speak all the time to, so you just experience all the different stuff. And it was the same in Tokyo. Like people were traveling in peace, like traveling in silence,
just really respectful.
Yeah. You had
But
this.
would you say that they are nice? Because I didn't see that these guys were nice. They were just leaving you alone, like didn't.
Yeah, I think
disturb you.
these are like two different things that I don't know if they are nice, but they were just like calm and respecting my
Zone.
peace, my zone, you know.
I will say this, and obviously, like we're just generalizing based on our own experiences, but I actually thought the people in Finland were really nice. I mean, the lady at the experiences I had, lady at the hotel, multiple people in the airport for like food stuff, and also like nice enough for me to be like, oh wow, I just loved that interaction I had with the person who took my order for coffee. Like I had that multiple times in Finland at the airport. And then in the hotel also, like this woman helped me find this gym because I was working through the injury and like needed to find a place to go to the gym. And she like helped and called these people, and like everyone was super nice.
But watch out what you will say. Like, would you think that they were nicer than here in Poland or not?
Honestly, my experience in Poland has been pretty great too. Like I think people, like Polish people, are also really nice. But I also think it's like everywhere in the world. Like I also remember I remember being on, God, and this is the worst, dude. You know when you fly, you get through the gate and then you realize you have to go sit on the bus, and then the bus takes you to where the plane is? That is the worst situation. You know, you like think you're getting on the plane early or something, and really you're just like the first one on the bus. And I had no idea, you know? And I remember sitting there, and it's just like early in the morning, like 6 a.m., 5 a.m., something like that. And this guy who's like clearly so drunk, like stumbles into the bus. He's like one of the last dudes, and he's on his phone just like talking almost like he was talking like Mach 10, dude, just like so loud. And all of us were just like looking at this guy like, dude, what are you doing? Just like drunk Polish dude just talking so loud. So I honestly, my experience in Poland has been pretty great. But I will say from like, I don't know how to generalize it culturally. Whereas like my experience, for example, in Japan is like, that's like another level of respect that they have for each other. That's very clear. They respect your space, even though like there's like when you go on the subway, there's like people all around you, but everyone's super respectful, and like no one's on their phone being loud and annoying, or like that's also been my experience in Japan.
I think the hierarchy in Japan is really important. Like in work, like you have to have the permission of every guy working. He needs the permission of his boss, and his boss need a permission of his boss. And like if you want to get something done in the company, you need like everyone. It takes so much time because you need so many people to agree for this, you know, because everybody needs to know and everybody needs to think about it and to get a permission on this. And for example, here, like if you need to do something, you just like try to go around everybody and try to, I don't know, or even not ask anyone or just try to like, I don't know, pay this guy to go directly to another guy and not to have a permission of all these people in your company.
That's really interesting. I would love to know from you guys. Do you think that like Polish people are more passive or more aggressive when it comes to expressing how they feel about things? And obviously it's, you know, different, but I just mean like for everyone. But in general, if you had to generalize like the Polish culture, or like
we had this other podcast about emotions, and we are trying to speak a lot about it. And I think it's different about the age of the people about who we are speaking right now, because the Gen Z is like really outgoing and easygoing, and they are speaking about everything and they don't care. But I think our age people and our parents and grandparents, we were raised in such a culture that we are like really closed inside, and it's difficult to
Especially
for
men.
us especially men to speak about our emotions and freely, like with the group of friends. I think we will not speak so easily about emotions, how we feel. And right now, okay, we just came from the dinner and we spoke, like the three of us, and we asked this question, man, how do you feel this week? How do you feel? You're sad or what? Like, and we can speak about it easily right now. But I wasn't like this few years ago. It could be like really uncomfortable for me if you ask me this question, and I need to like think for a while about myself and how do I feel and why should I tell this to you? Like, why do you care, man? You are not, I don't know, my father. Or even if my father asked me, I would be like, man, why you ask me? How do I feel? So this is strange, and then this should be normal, like, because it's important to know like how people around you feel, what are their emotions, what they are struggling about, so you can react and help them if there is something to do with them. And this should be normal. But if you ask me, I think here in Poland we are really closed, and we are passive. But it's getting better than it was a few years ago, for sure.
Yeah. Because that's been my impression. Yeah. You know, and I don't remember if it was you, Krobus, we were talking about, but I remember giving my opinion kind of that, of like, I've noticed that in my experience in Europe in general, and when I say Europe, it's like my experience with different European teammates I've had from all over Europe. In general, they seem to be more closed off to expressing their emotions with things. And I find this often with teams I've been on where practice is done, then we get to the locker room and everyone's bitching about how, yeah, this coach sucks, or like this practice sucks, or this drill sucks, or I'm tired, or this is bullshit, whatever. And I'm like, why do you never express this to our coach? Like, I don't understand. I'm just going to do my job then, you know, like, no, everyone has such a hard time just being like, all right, this is how I feel. Oh, this is the consensus of the group. Like, this is how the team feels. Like, all right, let's go approach the coach in an appropriate way and talk to him about this. But it's like in most teams I've been on, this is a different situation, but like in most teams I've been on, I've had to be the guy to like be the middleman of like, all right, this is how we feel. Let's just fucking talk to him, because I don't want to like show up every day knowing we could be getting so much more out of our situation, and instead we're all just going to bitch behind the scenes instead of, you know. And it's the same with like, I'm not going to bring that up, but like, it's the same with like when someone has a problem with someone else on the team, or if like there's something going on within the team and it's like people are afraid to express how they really feel for whatever reason, either in a group or even privately. Like, it's like you have to pull it out of them, where it's like, dude, we know you feel this way. We can see it on you. Like, you need, and to your point of like why it's important, I feel it's very important, because it's also sometimes it's nice to just be heard. And sometimes when you can get it out of your mind and out into the open, and you realize, oh, it's not that bad. Turns out like how I feel like isn't that bad, and people can still accept me.
And keeping this inside could kill you, like from the inside, because I have this feeling like before, many years ago, I was like, no, I wouldn't say this because it's like too much, and I would feel uncomfortable saying this, how I feel right now. And I did prefer to keep it for myself. And I will not go into the medical side, but I had some problems with my stomach because of it. I was so introverted, like keeping every emotion just for me. And right now, I think, you know, like when I feel something, I try to say it right away to this person, even if it's not nice to hear, and even if it doesn't help for the situation, it helps me. And I think also from what I've noticed, it helps also in some strange way to this other person, because it's always better to say it out loud than just think something about the other person and don't tell it. And even if this other person knows that somebody is thinking not some nice things, but sometimes it's better to hear these bad emotions and clean the situation. And this could be the way, like, to solve the situation, and first step to make the situation better. This is what I think. And
yeah, because otherwise we just live with assumptions, and we already do that so much. Like, we assume that everyone's watching everything we're doing, and they're remembering everything, and that they're judging us all the time. Like, we already, all of us, walk around with a little bit of that, you know? Yeah. Right? I feel like that's a fair thing to say. So it's like, it's a nice way to kind of break that wall and also be like, oh yeah, the world's not like constantly watching me, you know, like that.
And it's not always only about me, like.
Right.
And people don't spend like 24 hours thinking what I've done or what I will do or how I will react.
Dude,
and whatever.
in some crazy way, I feel like I started to learn that even from posting on social media, like on my Instagram. I would post something and I was like, I don't know, like that wasn't that funny, or like maybe
What
that
will
could have been
people
better,
say?
or like, yeah, for sure, or like, yeah, was that the right thing to do? It's like kind of walking the line of like appropriate and inappropriate based on your age or whatever, you know? And not that I have an OnlyFans or anything on there. I'm just saying. And I remember like as I got more consistently into posting, I started to realize like, dude, half the people don't even see it. And then they see it and it's like...
They don't care.
If you go on the macro scale of like big news, it's like there's some big Taylor Swift and Kansas City Chiefs, you know, like all this kind of shit. And then the next thing happens, and now that's the big deal. It happens with war too, like the next big war, the next big problem. It's like we put so much attention into it for like a couple days or a couple hours or a couple weeks.
And boom, it
and then
disappears.
the next story comes and it disappears, dude.
And
people don't give a shit. And it's like, that should be so comforting. Yet all the time we all walk around with a little bit of like, we are the center of the world and everyone's watching us, like on an airport or whatever, you know?
Yeah, but it's also difficult to think about in this way because we are the center of our world, like, and our family, okay, we have friends and everybody thinks the same around us, or maybe they don't say it like this, but probably they do. And they everybody is thinking about themselves and people, how we said about this in like few episodes before, that I cared so much like what people will say about me before, like what they think, how I played, how I don't know, how I act in this situation, what I would do in this one. And it doesn't care, like people don't care, even if they care for a while. This is like my problem, that I struggle this in my head, what people are thinking about me, around me. They don't care, or they care for a while and after they go they have so many other things in their head that this is not the problem and thing that they are taking care about.
And I have this nice exercise when my ego grows really big. I put Google Maps on the browser and then just press minus, and the map is being smaller and smaller. Then I see Poland, then Europe, then half of the world, and then you have the globe. And I see Kropa somewhere there, and I am just so small that these small things that I do don't impress like the whole world, and my ego shouldn't be so big, and I shouldn't be so emotional after. Just like live my life and
Does it
relax
actually work for you?
Yeah, sometimes. Usually.
But how often do you do like this?
I do it like every...
Like once a week
Now
or
I'm
what?
start noticing he's just all the time zooming out.
minus. Yeah, I do it often. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a schedule, but I do it often.
And dude, I think to kind of wrap up like what we were talking about, I think this is why it is so important to share how you feel, because what you end up doing, to your point of like, you share how you feel, then you realize like, oh, you have those thoughts too. Oh, you're very self-aware too. To your point, like we're all the same. We're all the same. We're all different and we're all the same.
And we have the same problems.
Yeah.
And it's easier to solve them together than to try to like solve them in your head and think what to do with this and maybe like struggle with this.
And so many people have that fear of judgment from others because we want to be accepted into the tribe. And when you realize like we're all dealing with the same shit in our own minds, and then you express it, and then that person's like, you express something that you feel is so vulnerable that like if people found out they wouldn't like you, and then you say that, and it's incredible, at least for me in my experience, how many times you say that thing, and then this guy says either after a team meeting, it's happened to me in team meeting stuff before, where it's like, dude, I struggle with that too, man. Like I feel you, I'm right there with you. And you have this deeper, super deep connection with someone who maybe you just like, we like the same music, and like, and now you have this like really deep connection because you both are currently working on a certain part of yourselves or are aware of a certain part of yourselves at the same time, or have gone through in the past. And that to me is like a way to really build connection with people that goes so much farther than just like, we like the same game, you know?
Do you have a friendship, you guys, do you have a friendship in your life that started from like a difficult moment, like from the, I don't know, big fight, or like that you were not friends before, but you had this like argument or fight, and like you really didn't like the person, but after this emotional moment, you felt like maybe some kind of relief, and it opened some other, like, I don't know, dimension, and you started to be friends since that?
God, that's such a good question.
This is what came to my mind right now.
Do you have an example of it? Is that why?
No, I thought about this question, and after I wanted to have time to think about it, so you can answer this.
It's a really, really good question. I honestly, like, put on the spot right now. I can't think of something exactly, but I do know that's happened to me with coaches in the past, where you get this perception of them like they're your boss or their dad. And then you like have this like deep conversation with them, and maybe they open up about like, hey, guess what? I'm a human too. And like, I don't have all the answers. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to manage 20 different players who all like something different and who all, you know, and that made me empathize a little bit with like, oh yeah, like what would it be like for me? It's like all the time I feel like I have all the answers for coaches, and God damn it, I actually do think I have a lot of good answers and could help a lot. But I think so often we're like, oh, I know what I would do. And then you're put in that position where it's like, all right, here are the keys. You're the CEO. You have to manage 100 people. And you're like, oh, shit. That's why you don't have these like 20-minute in-depth conversations with one person, because you have to manage 100 of them every day. Or, you know, you start to figure some of that out. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a specific example, but.
Me neither, because I'm so bad in not liking someone. I really like everyone. So I don't have this huge conversation. I'm really bad in. Dan,
that surprises me that you tell me that you are an amazingly nice person, and I like you a lot.
And
I like you a lot, buddy.
Thank you.
But that surprises me, that because you also seem like someone who's like, you're not going to have a fake relationship, and you're not.
So if I don't like someone, it's like 1 in a million. I'm just not talking to him, and I know that we won't be friends. Never. So
I didn't see Kropas not talking to anyone before. So and we know each other like 8 years. So
it is how it is.
Yeah, but I think maybe I don't have friends like this, but for sure I had a teams then that in which we spoke like really honest, like in one meeting, and everybody said what was on his mind about the team and about some other guys, how we act in the team, how we solve the problems, blah blah blah, and all these problems. And after that meeting, we were like completely different team and better working together and emotionally and in the volleyball way on the court, and we were winning some. I mean, some trophies.
How often does that happen in like relationships with partners too? I mean, you guys are both married too, and you know, like and I know too, like when you're in a relationship and you finally like sit down and have that like really deep conversation where maybe you can say something that might hurt the other person, but you're so honest about it, and you end up respecting them for being so honest. Maybe you argue a little bit, but you come to some resolution right after that. There's like, for me, I get like this high of like, whoa, we just connected on like such a deeper level, because we're not both walking around with this like little backpack full of like, you did this thing and like I'm waiting for you to bring it to me because I have it here. Like, you know, it feels so good. I feel like for me, that's why maybe I love arguing in some way. I love debate, because I always feel like when you can come to a resolution, it's like you really learn something about the other person. And I find that really beautiful, you know, when you get to like connect with someone on a deep level.
But do you feel like this team conversation are usually working in a good way? Like they make some positive results?
I think it's like everything. It's a balance between, I think it's very valuable. Yes. I think in most cases it's really important. And then there's also a level of like, not everything needs to be a huge conversation. That happens to us on the national team a bunch, because we have a coach who's very good at like understanding the mental side of the game, and has created an environment where we can all really express how we feel. And I love that we're able to do that. And then there are times where it's like, okay, we've expressed it. Now let's go work on it. Now let's not talk about every little thing and have to have you did this and it made me feel this way. Or like on the court, it's like we can just have our practice. And if there's a problem after practice, you have to talk with someone, have the conversation, you know, but we don't have to stop every bit of practice so that people can talk and then they can talk, because that would happen all the time, you know? Yeah. So.
But I think I was wondering, because I think USA volleyball team has this different way of timeouts like than the other teams, because from what I've saw in TV or on the games, that the other teams are like the coach is taking time out and the coach is saying to the players like what to do to calm down, this next action, whatever. And your coach, he's taking time out, and you are like everyone is speaking to each other. He's asking the setter or second coach what to do, and the second coach is telling, like, everybody is, from what I've seen from the outside, maybe it's different, and you will tell us how it is, but that everyone can speak like they're on this timeout. Like Micah is speaking something about the offense, like middle blockers are telling something about the blocking, and it's like really teamwork even on the timeout. And I was wondering if it's like if it came naturally during like in some way you made it like this, or the coach like said one time, okay, so our timeouts will be like this, that you guys speak, I just take the time for you to give you the space to speak about what we are going to do.
I think in general, it's also different now because we have such a team of veteran players where like Micah, Matt Anderson, like David Smith, we have so much respect for each other also that it's like, yeah, if instantly like maybe Javier Setter goes to Micah and starts talking.
But don't forget about Javier, because things a little bit change, because he's like, guys,
Javier's changed a lot of
totally
things.
Different style.
For sure. And I think, I'll put it this way, dude. One thing I think Javier really did so well for our team is got us to a point where it's like when we get, like most coaches are like, all right, we got to side out. You know, we got to work. Let's just side out. Next ball. And I think focusing on the next ball or on the present ball is a great solution. But what I love about Javier is he's kind of like, stop talking about like the mental side of things. And he's like, talk about exactly what needs to happen. So it's like, if we need to side out, it's not we need to side out.
How?
It's how. It's this guy, like if he serves on the line, let him have an ace, but we're not taking an ace in the middle in the seams. We're not taking an ace in the middle of the court. That's what I want you to focus on, you know? Or like there's a small setter in the front row. So he's like, all right, play a back one and set the setter so we can, you know, like whatever it is, like he has some idea of like, this is what's going to happen. This is what we need to focus on.
I love the coaches who are like taking timeouts and they say, guys, we are not receiving, we are not spiking, we are not serving. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, or like, or just say some generic shit like, okay, like let's make sure we're smart on high ball and like, you know, like to me it's like just be really specific.
Yeah, but what should we do to be better in passing, better in spiking, better in serving? Like what we should change to during the game, because there is time during the volleyball game to change things. Like if you start in a bad way and the tactics are not working and what you are doing on the court is not working, you still have time to switch. We are like, I think everybody has skills in the pro volleyball teams to change what we are doing, but sometimes you just need somebody to tell you like from the outside what to do, because we are in the emotions. Mm-hmm. If you are struggling with passing, maybe I don't know, focus too much on yourself and you don't see the solutions. So I hope the coach should be the guy to give you the solutions.
And what's really hard, and as three middles, we can, I'm sure all feel similarly, where like, it's really hard when you have no plan, like when your coach has no plan and you kind of go on the bench and and he says some bullshit, you know, or just some like basic stuff where he's like, all right, we got to side out next ball. Just like, okay, or like, hey, let's go, good energy or whatever the fuck, you know, where you're just like, okay, what is that doing for me, you know? Because I know for myself, there are some games where specifically with read blocking. In fact, the last game, you came up to me and was like, dude, I feel like I'm like having a hard time. What are you seeing right now? And I thought that was, first of all, I appreciate that you even respected me enough to ask that question to me. And I don't even think I gave you a good answer, but that's not the point. The point is like, there are some games as middles where it's just not there. Some days
you are doing always the opposite way. That the setter is
it feels
setting.
like a cruel joke,
yeah.
You know, like where you're like, I know I'm a good read. Why does it feel like I've never read blocked in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And, that's where it's really nice to have a coach or someone be like, Anjay, think about this specifically. And so if you would have had a coach be like, the opposite is like, he's not important to us right now because statistically they're winning because of the middle and this outside. That's what I want you to think about. Then for you say, okay, now I can eliminate this player and I'm going to focus here. And if they set back, no problem. But I'm not letting them beat us in the way that our coach is saying, hey, this is how they're going to beat us.
Yeah, because I think it works in this way that the coach is taking the responsibility on himself, like for what we do on the court. Because I don't like so much the tactics and the coaches who are like, okay, I will show you how they play I will tell you like, okay, this guy is setting like 30% here, 20 here, 30 here. Just do something with it. Like you decide. Okay,
this guy hits angle and sometimes line.
Yeah. So what?
And he tips also.
Yeah. So they are like showing everything. Like okay, this guy serves there. Like I will show you all the serves of this guy, but I will not tell you like where to stand and what to avoid or where are the places where he can serve and it's an ace and whatever. And I take responsibility on these actions, but all the others you have to pass. So I prefer like to have a coach like who is telling you, okay, take care about the middle and the opposite, and all the other stuff in this rotation like I take on me. Like if they can spike without block or on the single block, like I take the responsibility. And it's better to say less to the players, but to take the responsibility for some actions than to give them all the informations in the world. And okay, I did what I can, like I did my job. Now you have to do your job and decide where to go in block. And I gave you the numbers. You have to decide. You have all the informations which you need. Like, do your job. And this is okay when you are experienced middle blocker and when you are old. It's easier to not think about it like what coach will think if I don't commit into the block and they will spike like without block from the first tempo. But for the younger middle blockers, for sure it's a problem like to make the decisions, not knowing what coach is thinking and what is actually the tactic and how he can take the responsibility on himself.
I mean, dude, this is where I first of all, like, I hope we need to like promote this as like something coaches need to hear, because I totally agree. And most teams I've been on, it's exactly what we're talking about that we don't like, where they give us all the information and it doesn't feel like we have an actual tactic based on the opponent we're playing. Because to your point of like, sometimes the numbers are like, let's say in rotation 2, the numbers are like 30% back, 25% middle, 15% pipe, and 30% outside. I don't know if that equals 100%, by the way. I'm not sure. But like, it's like pretty evenly distributed. So instead of being like, all right, so it's pretty even in like 4 of the rotations, like go figure it out. Give us a tactic of being like, but this is how we're going to start the game, and we adapt as the game goes. Because to your point, there's too much to think about. It's the same with attackers. It's like at this level too, leave him line, he hits line. If a middle likes to spike in 5 and you jump in 5 early, he sees it and goes in 1. Like, now there are people who are really patterned, of course, but for the most part, like everyone's here for a reason. They're good at adjusting. And so deciding like, hey, based on the statistics, this middle hits 70% into 5. So this is what we're going to do. Like, I want you to keep going, because as we know, if you can block a middle basically once, you've done your job in some ways, like that's what we're going for. We're not going for you to be perfect on every play. But when a coach can say, don't worry about that. I don't want him spiking in 5. That's your job. Then you feel like I jump in 5, he turns to 1. You look at your coach, he says, hey, no problem. You don't feel bad. But as we all know, it's so fucking personal. And this goes for pin players, everyone. It's personal. Because like we talked about in the beginning of this episode, you think you're the center of the world, So like in those moments, if you guess wrong and he sets someone else and they score, or you jump in 5 and he just buries a ball in 1, you feel terrible. And if you have a coach who isn't specific, then the coach is like, how didn't you see that? What are you doing? And then you're like, and it sucks. So
yeah, because this is not an information for us. If you show us like, okay, so this guy for last 5 games, he spiked sharp to like even 4 from the middle to 4, like long to 5 in the like straight in the middle of the court 6, and sharp to 1. So okay, we know that he can spike like everywhere. I think coach should like watch all his actions for like maybe all the season and see that this guy is his favorite spike is to 5, and just show me this spike to 5. Tell me to block only these spikes to 5. Move the defense there and tell the defense, okay, when this guy is spiking, we are blocking 5, but all the others try to block and try to defense in 1, and that's all. If he keeps spiking to 1 all the time, okay, we will maybe change the tactic in the second set or in the third set, like we will see. But his favorite spike was to 5 for the last 5 or 10 games.
And this brings up another point, which is, so now let's say you have a coach who's come up with a game plan, who's taken some weight off of you by saying, Andre, you don't need to make every decision. I'm going to help you out here. Now, the next level that I also don't see a lot of coaches get to is now in the beginning of the game, on the game plan, it says we're going to block area 5 on this middle. Now it's the 4th set, and he's hit 90% of his balls in one. Like, when is the coach going to be like, hey, let's change it up? And that's what I also would like to see more of, is like more coaches adjusting to like, hey, this was the game plan. Now we're going against it in this area or in this area, you know, like having some real strategy. And again, the biggest problem, and the thing I think is probably the most difficult as a coach, is to get everyone to have one idea. That is, I think, the hardest thing to do as a coach, because you have so many individuals, and guess what? All those individuals are also playing for their statistics. They're also trying to play good. They're also trying to like to say, for example, this opposite. They in rotation 1, they set the opposite. So who's playing in position 4? They set him 10% or 15% of the time. So now to tell my position 2, like, hey, help a lot, because they barely set this guy. If one time in rotation 1 they set over, and this guy has basically a clean line and bounces the ball, he's gone. Unless he's really like bought in, he's gone, because he's like, I don't want to get burned. That hurt my feelings. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what's hard, dude, about adjusting, you know? So it's on players too.
But have you ever had a coach like this who is adjusting, who is setting the tactics to
Javier Weber, dude. I mean, he's the best coach I've ever had in my life. Yeah, without a doubt. He's incredible. And you really trust him. And that's also something that's so important, is like, and this goes for many things in life, is to find find your God and just believe in him, mm-hmm. you know, like find the one thing and just believe in him, because I at least get caught up in the overthinking, because I really want to know the like single truth. The irony is like, there is no single truth in some ways, you know, like there are a lot of things where a coach tells you to do this strategy and you do it. And maybe a different coach would tell you a different strategy, and maybe they both win. You know, it's just like, just pick one and be bought into it. Because ultimately, like, especially on teams like this, it's like there is no do-overs, you know?
Yeah, but also what?
Have you ever had a coach like this?
Yeah, I think now I should like name all of my coaches, because we are still playing, and like especially this coach which we have right now. But
yeah, that's for sure. But in the past,
I would say like the best coach I had about the tactics and everything, also from the mental side, was Miguel Falasca. Okay. Also on the pro level, I want to say also about the tactics, like in the pro level of volleyball, you have the setters who are not like dumb. They are also watching their statistic, like where they set the ball, like when like they even play. I also played against and with the setter who was playing different way 3 games before the important game. Like he knew Guma was this kind of setter for sure. Mm-hmm. One of them, Paweł Zagumny, the president of Radom right now. He was, when he knew that he is playing, like that time he was in Zaksa, and he knew that he's playing against Bełchatów in 3 games. Like so he has 3 games till the game with Bełchatów. He was playing them differently just to play his game against Bełchatów, because he knew that they are watching like 5 last games. So he was checking the statistics, and he knew that in P1 he is setting, I don't know, 15% to 4. So for these 3 games, he was
only to 4,
like setting only to 4, you know. So they see like, oh, Guma this season he is setting to 4 in P1. And he didn't give a fuck, because after when they played, he was setting to his favorite guy, like behind, or playing pipe or first stamp or whatever he liked to play. So he was sacrificing. It was not a sacrifice, because still they were winning with this not that good teams like before the game with Bełchatów. So he was playing the game with this most like the strong opponent, which he was about to play in 3 games. So setters know what they do, and they can predict like what the block will do, and they check their own statistics. So you cannot play all the game the same against good setter. Like you need to react, you need to like sacrifice maybe the first set to see how they played, to change the tactic after, like in the second set. Also, if it doesn't work, you need to react and change it for the third set. Like you need to have some base, of course, for sure. Like the directions, the players have their favorite directions of serving and spiking, but like the setting with the best setters in the world, which we also have here in Plus Liga, you need to react. Like you need to have some idea and risk and don't care if they if they spike without block, or if you cannot block in one set, because maybe it will come in the second set. Maybe you are in the good place, but you're just not blocking, and this is also okay.
Yeah, and it's like such a cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
We say cat and mouse game, like especially at this level with the best in the world, because it makes me think of like, I don't know. I would love to know what your guys' like high school experience was like. Like, did you have a high school? You have a different system out here. You guys didn't have like high school team you were on?
No, we had in Warsaw, like we had a team and we were playing like the championship of Warsaw, like between the high schools. It was not a league like national league, I think.
Okay, so either high school or maybe like a club, like the younger club kind of stuff. For the most part, at least where I was from, it was like there's like one or two guys who are like, those are the guys on the team that you're on, you know? So like at that level, it's simple. It's like, let's not get beat by those guys. If the other four guys show up and have some incredible match and we lose because of them, like we can accept that, but let's not lose. Whereas like what's so difficult, even like on the national team when we play Poland, it's just like all these guys are superstars. So as a like at least for me, sometimes it's always nice when I'm like, I just have to, like, this is the guy I really got to pay attention to. Like when in doubt, when it's 20 and over, like this is the guy. But when it's like 23, 24 and it's any decision he makes is a good decision. I mean, what like a luxury too as a setter. Like not only are you one of the best setters in the world, but now you have like 5 options all the time. You know?
Yeah,
like
and everybody
perfect reception also. Every time.
Right.
And everybody used to be that guy in the high school who is finishing the most important balls.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to finish them. Also right now, yeah, it's easy game. Like I had one thought, and you changed the topic. And
well, we can keep it. This can also be an episode where we don't answer any questions, because I just realized
this is so fun, because I said this before to Kropas. Every time we are coming here, I have no idea what we will speak about. Like at the beginning, like I say to him, man, I don't know. Like there is nothing in my mind today to speak about. And after we sit here, and there is some magic happening. Like we are speaking for 50 minutes.
I think about that because I'm sitting here on the side and listening to you guys, and I was wondering how much of this what you are saying people understand actually, because for us it's easy. Like this guy is spiking to 5. You know, this is double block, perfect reception, and all this.
I think our viewers know volleyball,
and if not, dude, this
because
is like,
there is like 10 of them.
Okay, yeah, that's for sure, and none of them play volleyball probably.
Yeah.
I think also it's like when you're young, it's so good to play against players who are so much better than you, and I think being able to be a part of this conversation, especially if you're like a lower level or just starting out kind of volleyball, this has to be so interesting. Because I'll tell you what, and as someone who like works one-on-one, I do mentorship with kids one-on-one.
Yeah.
As someone who like works with clubs and like works with these kids who are like, you know, young kids growing and learning volleyball. When I look back up until the age of, I don't know, like 22, like really until I started playing professionally, it was 2 options. I'm either reading or I'm committing. That was pretty much it. You know, and like, what do most middles do? Well, if the ball's like pretty much in the middle of the court and it's a perfect pass, I'm going to jump. That's like out of like a factory. Like that's like 001, like bot middle, you know, like
ball is here, I jump. Ball is there, I don't jump.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it makes me think a lot. And this is what I think this is why it's so important to work with kids and younger kids in general, because I think you learn a lot about like, what was I think? I would love to know from you guys, like, what was your comprehension of volleyball at age like 15 or 16 or 17 or whatever maybe comes to mind for you?
I agree. It's important to speak with young guys because you can shorten their way to get into your thinking right now, like about the volleyball, which is probably like you will not normally. Okay, maybe it changes like every year. And you said cats and mouse. Yeah, like the game. For me, it's more like a chess. Like playing chess, because for me the volleyball is setter playing chess with the middle blocker on the other side, and because I'm the middle, of course, maybe like liberals think the same. They're playing chess with the service guys, or I don't know, spikers. But for me, it's like I'm playing chess with the setter, and
But in chess, you have the equal chances. Like it's 50-50. You start the same way, the same.
yeah, but also you see like how the guy is opening the game, and
But he has a ball every time. He decides. You just follow him.
I'm with you. I totally I feel the same way as you.
No, for me it's chess. I know I have all the data which I saw like before the game. I was watching his games, like I'm watching him for like 10 years, and I know him exactly. I know that when he's running like this and putting his knee up, probably he will set behind. And when I see him like getting the knee up to set behind and setting front and laughing at my face, I'm like, okay, I know what you did here. Like you know that I know, and it's like it's fun. It's fun to play this game against the guys who you know like for many years. So
let me ask you something really quick. How do you
I didn't answer your previous question yet,
but this is so interesting because I would like to know also how much do you then, because what's really hard, what I get caught up in a little bit is then overthinking, because then you're like, oh, he did that, so then now you start playing that. Okay, I did this. You know that I know that you did. You know what I mean? You can start playing that, because I feel the same way with like commit blocking. Like sometimes I'll see, even if I don't get set, I'll see a guy like dive if I'm coming around from rotation too, and a guy dives super hard into my 5. Even if I don't get set, I note it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have him run a double push next time because I know I'm gonna be able to bury the ball in 1. But then like, how often do you like? Okay, I know you scored 2 times in 5. Now I'm gonna block. Like, how often are you actually making those changes based on what you're seeing in a game?
I think it depends of the player against which I'm playing, because there are not every player can like decide from each call what to spike. Like some guys, they are struggling to spike to 5 from shoot. Yeah, so
some guys are much more patterned than others, we say.
Yeah, for sure. Like I try to of course like watch him spiking like during the. I also like to watch the warm up when we are warming up. Like when I'm standing in the line, I try to not just to, I don't know, hit the ball by the ground. I try to watch the warm up of the guys and see, especially when we are playing the teams which I don't know, like with the players that I played for the first time. I'm like, we played in the cup, in the Challenge Cup. Like most of the players I saw for the first time in my life. So I was like, I saw.
So what are you looking for?
I saw the video, so I see like, because when we are spiking from position 4 and middle, everybody is spiking, like all the middles are spiking to 1. After we switch and we spike all the spikes to 5. So I watch the middles, like when they feel more comfortable spiking like to 5, or they are they calling like, okay, this guy is all the time going this like on the head.
Yeah, I do the same
on the warm up. So probably like he's preparing to go this on the game. Like why should he spike like this if he goes shoot all the time? Like it doesn't make sense. So I watch the calls, like how they spike. Of course, I'm not only focusing on them. I try to warm up myself, but I try to watch them and to see if
timing too.
Timing if they go really fast, because on the warm up you have the most perfect conditions like to spike. So they are performing their best spikes there. Probably if they are young, probably they go from the first ball like full power. You know, they don't spike long. They try to close the ball. So yeah, the timing is also one of the because if you. I have an impression that if you go really fast, it's difficult to spike to 1 from the middle. If you go 1, because like if you go like with your body to the setter, it's difficult to spike really hard into 1 with the perfect timing. Like you need to leave some space to the ball and to the setter to turn and to wait for the block and then to turn. So there are some middles who are just going really fast, and mostly they spike to 5 or even to 4. So I watch the middles like and setters during the warm up. It makes like it's a good starting for the game for me, for the tactics and to see if what I've seen during the games which I saw on the video is like the same on the warm up, and these infos are correct on what I saw and what I'm seeing right now on the warm up.
Let me ask you too, do you ever feel a correlation between, because we all know in warm ups like there's also a handful of balls you're just trying to bounce just hit as hard as you can. At least for me, I'm always like just for fun, because I think warm up hitting is kind of like whatever, honestly. I always do a little transition, like at least one transition attack, because I think that's important. No one really does that for some reason in hitting lines, but I like doing that. I think it gets me like speed going. But do you ever feel a correlation between the way you were set in warm-ups and then how you get set in the game?
I used to have this thinking that if I spiked really bad on the warm-ups, like I was mishitting the ball and I cannot hit correctly, find the tempo, mostly after I was playing really good games with the setter, and also the other way, when I was like really powerful and everything was going perfect, after on the game I was finishing with 15% in spike.
I have basically the same feeling.
I had this impression before, but right now, like because maybe I'm old player right now and I was struggling with my back and knees and everything, so I tried to like go really slow during the warm-up, like spike 3 or 4 times, like more and more with more and more power, and after like the last spikes I try to do like full speed and full power, and not to go like really hard from the beginning, not to break anything in my body, you know?
Dude, good for you. I have such a hard time spiking, even serving at like 60%. I'm like either 100 or like roll, like really just shot like beach style a ball, but I am not good at like, here's like a 60%, then I'm gonna go 70%, then 80%, then 90%. Like that's impressive.
I want to see your warm up, like first warm up after your knee injury.
Guys, I thought we were not gonna talk about this. We're not talking about this on the episode.
I'm just curious.
I'm just curious.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Like if you will go the same, like first spike, like full power, full speed.
I will, but you also see me on the side. Like I have the bands on the side, and I do jumps, and I do that stuff gets me like ready to go. We call it priming. I really like right after we finish our warm up, before we go to blocking lines. I love doing that priming with the band, because I get, I don't know, like I do about 3 each side of like lateral pushes, like block moves. So I get 3 like really explosive block move pushes, and then I do jumping with the resistance of the band, and then the band pulling me, so like accelerated jumping. And so I have like, let's say 15 to 20 like aggressive jumps under my belt. I feel so good after, and then I'm pulling the band with my upper body as well. Like I feel juiced up. I don't know, like my blood is pumping. So I don't ever feel like in warm-up spikes that I need like a warm-up, other than my first spike is always a pipe, no matter what. First spike has to be a pipe or a bic.
You're also spiking pipe?
No, but I'm always focused on my first spike, because it tells me everything. How does Kropas feels today, and if it's gonna be a good game or not.
Yeah.
After the first, because I feel my movement, if it's fluid.
Yeah, fluid.
And basically I know if I feel really good today or decent at least.
For me, this first, I go always like high ball. Okay, I used to go quick ball from position 4 from the setter, but now I go like high ball to go really slow, you know, to have a good approach, to have a good swing, and like 50% of power, and it always tells me nothing. Like it doesn't matter at all, like how I spike, or I close the spike, or I spike wide, or I spike sometimes even out of the antenna, because the setters set me like really, really wide. It doesn't matter. Like,
let me ask.
Maybe when I was younger, it means like a lot. I would be so confused and maybe stressed that I missed the spike. And when I was missing the spikes on the warm up, I was more stressed during the first part of the game. That it means like what I will play bad game now, but now it doesn't mean nothing.
I don't mean like I want to hit hard. I'm just saying like I feel my body after the first spike.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, dude.
I just know where is the biggest pain.
This is old man talk now.
And I just know, how do I feel today?
I'll tell you one other thing too. Like I think if for example, I usually try to only play with the starting setter. So like if I know I'm going to be a starter, I only want balls from the starting setter. And for example,
especially if they are setting completely different ball.
Especially if they set the ball that I like. Okay, that's for sure. But also, like, for example, if the second setter is starting, or if I'm not starting, then I'll play with the guy that I'm most likely to play with. Whereas like most of us, you go with like, because the setters switch halfway. Mm-hmm. Most of us just go with whoever is in line for us. I never do that. I always go with the setter that.
No, I used to go with the starting setter like every time, that because, you know, like when we spike from 4 and middle, first setter starts to set like for the
Outsides,
pin hitters, and you spike with the second setter from the middle. And I used to go like only first spike from the second setter, and after I was going all the time to the first setter, and when we switch spikers, spiking positions also. But right now I spike like with both setters. I think that it's also important because the second setter could go on the court and you have to play with him also. So it's even sometimes more for his confidence than for mine to make him like set me a few balls. This is what I think. I'm not doing this for myself so much, I think.
What a fucking
And
nice guy.
I know that it's not charity volleyball, but when I see the second setter standing and no one wants the set from him, I just go to him and I just say, let's go, let's roll, buddy.
I don't know. I just think like I know too, like I am someone who needs a fast release from a setter. I need someone who can play the ball because to me, like as an undersized middle, I'm speed. I try to be always, no matter what team I'm on, I need to be the fastest guy on the ball. That's just how I think. And so like if I have a setter who releases quickly, I'm going to be so fast. But if I have a setter who like takes the ball, our second setter takes the ball really slow and then releases it, and that was really hard for me. And in fact, it's like then it's a question of like who needs to adjust. Because I feel sometimes like every new team I'm on, I'm like to the setters, just release it quick. That's all I care about. Slightly off the net when it's perfect pass. Bring it slightly off the net. Most middles, not all middles like that. I do because I like to broad jump a lot into the ball. Slightly off the net, and just where I see your hands, I need to know the ball's being released right out of them.
I have a feeling that we will speak about this topic in the next episode. I don't know. Maybe we will have a question about this.
Okay, then we won't say anymore.
Setting spiker like connection.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we are Volley Hotline, and we forgot to turn on our phone today for the questions. So maybe to close this episode, because it's like 1 hour 5 minutes intro right now, 6 minutes. I wanted to say, because we started from these accents in Europe and all over the world, American accents. It makes me laugh when Americans say that they are like going on holidays to Europe. They are not going to, I don't know, France or Poland or whatever. Where are you going on holidays? I go to Europe. It's like, okay, but where?
Dude,
It's a huge difference.
I can't believe you just brought that up. That's so funny. I need to say one thing. Did you do that on purpose? No, you didn't. This is so different then. Never mind. I posted
because you said like at the beginning of our podcast that you came to play to Europe, and you're like, it makes me think about.
That's interesting. That's some shit I wouldn't think about, dude. And I'll tell you what, I didn't think about it. I recently posted on my Instagram. It's TAvril13 for those of you listening who want to look at this. I posted a video of a hotel we were at that had half a glass bathroom door in the shower.
Yeah.
So in the shower, it's like half the glass rather than completely covering the situation in the shower. So water fucking gets everywhere. Water hits you and sprays off everywhere. Dude, the amount, and I don't even look.
Maybe put a little bit like less pressure on the water. I don't know.
Okay, don't be one of those dudes. You are the problem. This is exactly what I was going to say. It's incredible to me how many people.
I'm a European.
Listen to this, dude. How many people were offended, first of all, that I said Europe? They were like, Europe? Like, what country is that? Like, saying all sorts of shit to me. I'm like, everyone relax, dude. I'm just like kind of fucking around. And I said Europe, first of all, because it's like I had that in Italy, in France, now here in Poland. In other European countries, I've had and seen the like half glass. And I like am just joking, like, this is so dumb. Just put the whole piece of glass or have a better solution, because people are like, you can just take it off the handle and like stand in the corner of the shower and spray yourself softly. It's like, shut the fuck up. I want to take a fucking shower with full blast. I want the water spraying everywhere, you know, like what? But dude, it's unbelievable. Dude, social media is the best.
But
dude.
when you were recording your videos in Tokyo, when you were in Japan, were you saying like, oh, these people in Asia are so, I don't know, polite or whatever? Or you were speaking like, people in Japan are so nice?
Well, here's what I'll say is when I said when Americans come to Europe or whatever you said that I had said, it's also because I wasn't talking specifically about Poland. I was talking about Poland, Italy, France, my experience in Europe. Okay. And also, the difference in Japan is like, I would talk about Japan when I'm talking about Japan. When I posted this video, the reason I didn't say, why is it like this in Poland is because it's not always my experience in Poland. And in fact, I've experienced this in other countries in Europe.
Okay.
So I was generalizing, but my point was, I think it's unbelievable how many people commented just like, what a like asshole I was for saying all of like, dude, people got so offended. It's hilarious. I love it.
I will be really focused to watch your videos when you go to some other Asian countries to
God
speak
damn it,
about
dude.
people in Asia or in, I don't know, Thailand or whatever.
Generalizing is fun, dude.
That's why you posted today that it's a beautiful day in Poland.
Beautiful
I
day
did
in
that for
Europe.
you because, yeah, I did. Well, also because you were like, dude, I feel like you're always like kind of bagging on like Polish.
Yeah.
It's
And
too
I'm
big
not, I'm
area
just-
to say that it's beautiful weather in Europe, because maybe in France it's bad weather right now. It's a good moment to stop our episode. Sorry for not answering your questions today, guys. Maybe the next time. Actually, will we say to our guy that we will answer his question for sure in the next episode or no? Because maybe he will stop watching our show right now.
No, you keep watching. Look, for those of you who have asked questions and they haven't been answered and you're kind of like, what the heck? Like, why hasn't it been answered? First of all, we get a handful of questions.
Yeah.
Second of all, we are just like, this show is in its infancy. It's a newborn baby. It's being breastfed right now. It's being nurtured. We're trying to figure out how we want to do it. We're still getting to know each other clearly. That's why we can do hour-long intros. We're having a lot of fun. This was a fun episode for me. So
For me also. Thank you.
maybe the next episode we'll do at least like 3 questions. We'll cut the intro short. The next episode is dedicated to your questions, dude.
I have like 5 questions here written to answer, and yeah,
We'll have some fun. I hope you guys love it. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, keep your fingers crossed for us on tomorrow's game. Tomorrow we play final of Challenge Cup.
And honestly, again, if you guys
With Monza.
with Monza, ma che cazzo.
Che cazzo
But
fai?
for real, dude, we appreciate the support. I get messages about the show. People really seem to love it. I love it so much. Also, if you love it so much, send in questions. I know this episode we didn't answer them, but I swear to God, we look at them, we talk about them. We're going to put them on the show. We're having a lot of fun doing
You can
this.
check the previous episodes. We've already answered some questions, and also some volleyball stars answered the questions,
Yes.
like Bruno Rezende.
And
like
we're going to have some more
Kelsey
special guests
Robinson.
on because
Yeah,
we know
for
we got the
sure.
connections, baby. Who do you want to talk to? We know them, or we know someone who knows them.
Yes. Also some Italian guys.
Also, if you truly love the show, please like, comment, share. I know that stuff is like so corny. I would personally never do it because I'm just an asshole.
Yes,
but like,
and
please, it's
subscribe.
helpful. Yeah, subscribe.
It also helps. Thank you for
Ring the
today.
bell.
See you next week.